Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you're seeing this. My name is Brian K. McNeil, and I'm super excited to be talking to you. I'm talking to you, my nonprofit friends, people within the nonprofit world. Again, my name is Brian K. McNeil, and I'm going to start my talk off by telling you a story that you probably have heard before. This is a very familiar parable. You probably have heard it before more than one time, but maybe you haven't heard it the way I tell it. But it's the story about this man who's awakened from a dream by an angel. An angel says, "Come with me." And the angel takes this man to a banquet hall. And it's a long banquet hall. And it's got a long table on it. And on this table, they've got the food. They got the turkey, the chicken, the ham, the roast beef. They've got all the vegetables. They've got all the desserts, all this delicious food on the table. And it looks good and it smells good. And he says to the angel, "What do you show him?" He says, "Look at the people." Because on either side of this table, they have people sitting on both sides of the table. He says, "What are you showing me? Look at the people carefully." And he sees on their faces that their faces are sunken and they're starving and they're crying and they're in pain and they're hungry looking while seated before this bountiful feast. The man says, "Why are these people in pain? Look at them. Look at them closely." And he looks at the people closely and he sees that their upper bodies are tied to the back of their chairs and they can't lean forward. And he sees attached to their left hand is a 3 foot long fork. And attached to their right hand is a 3 foot long knife. And try as they might while sitting before this feast, they cannot feed themselves and they starve. He says, "Whoa, what are you showing me?" He says, "Come with me." And he takes him to another banquet hall, another room. And in this room is similar to the first room, the long table with all the food and the people seated on either side. And the angel says, "Look at the people carefully." And then he looks at the people, and these people in this room are happy and they're well fed. They're having a good time. And he looks close and he sees that in this room also they're attached to the back of their chairs. And they do have the 3 foot long forks and the 3 foot long knives. But in this room, they're very well fed. The man says to the angel, "What is the difference? What's going on?" You see, in that first room where everyone was trying to feed themselves, people were starving because they couldn't. In this room, everyone is focused on feeding the person across from them. And the person across from them is focused on feeding them. So by them focusing on feeding each other, everyone gets well fed, everyone gets happy, and everyone has a good time. He says, "Whoa, what is this?" He says, "This is an example of what heaven and hell is like." That first room, that painful room, focused only on feeding yourself, that's living hell. Focused on feeding each other is living heaven. Now, you probably have heard that story before, especially in the nonprofit space. But I want to tell you, I wanted to start this talk off today by saying to you that when we focus on feeding each other, the whole world is heavenly. Now, I am the sales confidence coach, and I've done a lot of work with nonprofits. And I want to tell you that me helping nonprofits to sell their cause or to shape their story is critically important to nonprofits. There are so many similar challenges that nonprofit organizations have. Like one of the challenges that they have similarly is the challenge of raising money or the challenge of having money continually coming in, the challenge of having individual donors donate money. And the challenge is a challenge because a lot of nonprofits don't understand that that function right there, getting people to donate happily, is a sales process. A sales process. It's not a selling event, it's a sales process. Selling is a process, but the most important part of the process are the people, or is the person involved. So the people and the persons involved need to know how to sell their causes. Now, sometimes I have to help people to make peace with the concept that they have to sell. And I'm going to do that with you as well. But this word sell, I think, is one of the greatest words ever. The word sell has two originations. One of them is Greek and one of them is Old English. The Greek origination comes from two words, S-E-L and Y-E, sell ye, which literally mean to help. The word came about to describe the process of helping people to get the goods and services that they wanted and need. The Old English origination comes from a word called salon, and that word literally means willing to give up. Willing to give it up. So if you're willing to give it up, and if you're willing to help people to get what they want, you're willing to sell. As a believer, I'm a believer. I know that in Proverbs and 11 and 26, it says, the people curse the ones that withhold the grain. Blessings upon the ones that will sell it. You see, if you have the grain that you have are the things that you know, the grain you have are the problems you solve, the grains you have are the world that is improved because of your nonprofit. That's your grain. And the Bible is clearly saying, in my interpretation, that if you're not willing to sell your grain, if you're not willing to sell your cause, curses upon you. But if you are willing to sell it, blessings upon you. Blessings upon you because you're willing to sell it. Yes, that's what it says. I understand the concept of the sin of the desert. And I want you to understand it as well. The sin of the desert. You see, the sin of the desert is when you know where the water is, but you won't tell anyone else. Or if you know where the solution is, but you're keeping that solution to yourself. The sin of the desert is the height of selfishness. Yes, it is. Nonprofit organizations that are not willing or not willing to learn how to, that might be the case some of the times too, not willing to learn how to sell their nonprofit to the world, they are committing the sin of the desert. They are not sharing it enough and the right way. You owe it to your nonprofit to learn how to sell it well. Now, to sell it in a way that feels authentic, sell it in a way that is current. You cannot sell your nonprofit the way things were sold in years past. You have to sell your nonprofit the way sales are made today. I happen to know that this is a worthy and use of your time to learn how to sell your cause to the world that's waiting for it, especially to individual donors. There are more individual donors that will be delighted to donate to your cause if they understood a few things about it. You know, there are a few reasons why people would happily donate to your cause. And in my workshop, I'm giving a workshop here at the same summit on how to sell your cause, what to do, nuts and bolts of what to do to sell your cause. I'm going to give a workshop about how to do that. I'm going to show you guys how to map it out. I'm even going to teach you guys in my workshop, I'm even going to teach you how to answer the question of what your nonprofit is, what your nonprofit does. I'm going to teach you how to answer that in such a way that compels people to want to contribute to it right up front. Yes, I will. So if you find any value in this talk, I'm going to encourage you to come over to the workshop. And that's going to be a 45-minute workshop where we can really, really break it down. I want to champion you while I'm still here, though, in this particular talk, because typically the kind of people that go into nonprofit world in the first place is because of people who see a need somewhere. They see a need, or they've been in need, or they see a place where they can enact change, or they see a place where they can be helpful, or they're wanting to be helpful. There are so many amazing nonprofit causes, and you happen to have one of them. And your nonprofit needs to be sold to the marketplace as well. Your nonprofit needs to be profitable. It needs to be profitable so it can be sustainable. I'm going to say that and I'm talking money. It needs to have money coming in, because if it doesn't have money coming in regularly and significantly, there's someone that you would have helped next year that won't be able to be helped. There's someone that you would have helped next month that won't be able to be helped because you're not profitable enough to keep your doors open, or you're not profitable enough to uh, provide all the resources you would have if you had the money. So I'm going to say that your work is important and you should earn money with it. Bring money in with it. Again, my name is Brian K. McNeil. I'm going to encourage you guys to, first off, I want to congratulate you and encourage you for coming to this summit to learn about how you can. And I'm going to just say that I'm happy to be helpful to you. And we're going to get it in together today. Again, my name is Brian K. McNeil. I am the Sales Confidence Coach. And I'm going to just close off by saying you're important. God bless you and thank you.